But folks, I'm not gonna keep you in suspense too long here. We are here to talk Watchdogs tonight, and there's no one better to discuss Watchdogs with than my buddy AeroGarfield29. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Well, maybe a few people better than me, but I'm here. You know, I'm available. I had some free time. You know, it's Watchdogs. We love Watchdogs. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for inviting me.
Dude, it was a pleasure. The idea was purely born of beer and spontaneity with beer. Adam, thanks for the host, buddy. Thank you, Boxcat, for the host also, and of course you hosting. It's not all self-serving. That's fine, though. It's fine.
And look, there's Sketty.
There's Sketty. We were just talking about you. You'll never know what we said. All nice things, I promise. All nice things. That's awesome, Adam. It's good to see you, man. I know you from Garfield streams and stuff, and I think you've been in here before. Zombie Man, hello. Who else am I missing? Troy. I appreciate you helping, dude, because it would have been really embarrassing to talk him through the intro as the intro's happening. Immersion fucking ruined, literally unplayable. So we have each told this story on our own streams alone, but we've never discussed the story. So I think it bears mentioning, since we are talking about Watchdogs, we need to start with the original Watchdogs. How did you and I meet? I'll start with, what's your perspective on it? How did you see it happening? What is your memory, I guess?
My memory, well, I have horrible memories, because I don't
I have a horrible memory. That was a horrible memory of meeting you.
I'm an old geezer now, and I don't remember things. I do know that somebody introduced me to you, so somehow I knew who you were, and I remember that my big thing, and I think it's still a thing for me, that at the end of every stream, I want to raid somebody that doesn't have a lot of viewers, or is least suspecting, or, you know, and I follow a bunch of people, and so I always go down, I scroll down, and I kind of look who's on, what they're playing. You know, I think about what we just got done playing, you know, if people would stay or not.
Right.
And then if it's somebody that I've never raided before, that I've kind of always been wanting to raid, it's like, okay, we definitely got to do that one person.
Right.
And I do remember that in whatever instance I was already following. And I don't know if I maybe had been to maybe one or two streams at that point, but not a lot. And at the time, I don't think you were into Destiny. I think you were into Watchdog. So it was like, hey, he's on. Let's go get raided.
Right.
And of course, I had no idea what you had been going through previous to that raid.
Yep.
But then, of course, as the clip that you sent me the other day showed, it was like you, from kind of being at a, you know, you didn't know how to feel or where to go with the stream, and then suddenly, you know, here's a bunch of new people and just raising your spirits. And that's what I love most about Twitch is, you know, yes, there's games, yes, there's community, but when you take your friends and you go hang out with other people and lift their spirits and enjoy their games with them and their community, that's what makes Twitch for me.
Absolutely. And I can fill in the gaps of that because he actually told part 2 of the story. Part 1 of the story is I was streaming Watchdogs at the same time that he was. And we were... I was doing hacks, and I think he was open worlding it. And there were some people that from his stream, because this is back when Watchdog was still, the first one was still reasonably popular on Twitch. It was never crazy after like the first 2 or 3 days. But I ended up, some of his folks had come over and said, hey man, basically, you're going to love this dude. Like, we don't want to like cross a boundary with promoting, but I think you two be peas in a pod. I'm like, cool. So at the end of the stream, I think I hosted him, and then I went in and hung out with him, and the dude was awesome. And the community members that had come over, like, were really cool guys and stuff. And So we went over there, and I loved the dude, and then then his viewers had kind of been part of the story of how we were both playing and very similar, and that's how I got the follow. And then a few weeks later, I actually was playing Destiny at the time, and I had just that day gotten word that my mother had been diagnosed with cancer. We didn't know to what degree. Trying really hard to keep it together. I hadn't released that information anywhere, and I was in a bad state, and the stream had been going for a while. I just didn't know what to do, and Garfield and the boys came in, and it reminded me why I was doing what I was doing at the time. It made it like the best coping mechanism in the world, because I owe my entire life at this point where it is to Twitch. I would not have been able to cope with her eventual death the way that I did without Twitch. I wouldn't be in as healthy a state without it. I wouldn't have met most of the people that I depend on the most as friends if it weren't for Twitch. I wouldn't have my girlfriend and my family if it wasn't for Twitch. I wouldn't be in Texas if it wasn't for Twitch. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I wouldn't have this computer if it wasn't for Twitch. I wouldn't have fallen back in love with gaming if it wasn't for content creation in general, and Twitch has kept things going. So, like, you know, for me, the friendship between Garfield and I is the embodiment of everything that is best about what I have gotten out of this platform. So now that we've sucked each other's dicks for about 5 minutes or so, I'll clean this up later.
I blame the alcohol.
There you go. I'm not drinking any. But I'm not. I was gonna, and then I didn't get out. Neon with the sub, with the 3-month streak. But he's been one of the most supportive members of the Grind fam and disciples for a long time. Streaks, rather cumulative sub count is confirmed to be coming by the end of the month, and I can't wait for that, because you're going to be able to see all these people that have supported for years, and they're going to be able to have a little indication that you can see that they're doing something amazing. So we got I love the Caddis 22 in there. One of yours, I'm guessing, because they actually say,
oh yeah,
yeah. Oh, and it's buffering for him. Oh man. So let's start the discussion proper, because I know that's what they're here for.
Right.
When did Watchdogs first get on your radar? Like, what drew you to that game?
Well, this is a great story, because I have not been as serious of a gamer as your typical, I'll say it, Twitch gaming nerd. I mean, there's people that know everything about every game that's out there and play everything. I grew up with an Atari. I played a small handful of Atari games. I got a Nintendo. I ended up playing Mario Brothers, and I think that was probably about it. I think I got a Sega Genesis just because that was PlayStation 1. I got a PlayStation 1 because of Revolution X, which was an Aerosmith game. Yep. Again, I like Aerosmith, had to get the game. And then my son had a friend that had a PlayStation 3, and they played a lot of Need for Speed games. And I thought, I love this kind of game. I got to try it. And I really got into that. So I played a lot of Need for Speed. And then one day I saw an ad on television for Watchdogs. And I don't know what it was about that game, but it looked like something I'd never seen that kind of a concept in a game, where instead of running around shooting everybody, there was trying to tactically maneuver to achieve a goal, and then being able to control devices around you. And then I did see that there was a driving aspect to it. So I said to myself, I need to try this game.
Right. So you got into it because you saw it being played. Is that right?
No, I just saw a commercial for it. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Saw a commercial for it, had to buy the game.
Gotcha. So that was what first drew you in. I was drawn in, Skeletroy, who's in chat right now. was there.
Nice.
The first time I saw anything about Watch Dogs, we were watching, I don't know if it was E3 or one of the things, but we saw a reveal of it, and it was on him and Beard Grizzly's radar at the time. I was like, Murr. I saw that, I was like, I'm into this. I don't know what this is, but I like this. And we were like, it looks like Grand Theft Auto, but you get to control everything. I'm like, I'm right there. And at the time, I was in a very precarious place with gaming, and that game, along with a little bit of hype that I had for Destiny, but Watch Dogs for me was like, this is what gaming is going to be for this next generation. And as we know now, that wasn't necessarily as big as an impact as we thought it was going to be. But what ended up happening, Destiny ended up being way, 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 way better than Watch Dogs was for me in terms of longevity. And it just kind of flip-flopped, but I always had a huge affinity for the game. I remember the folks I was living with at the time, they had a PS4 in the living room. I was upstairs in my bedroom with mine, and we would have folks over, and we would just sit here. We would play with the mobile app. You know, remember the mobile app integration stuff?
Oh yeah.
So I'd sit there and fuck with them, being a cop and vice versa and all that stuff. And that was cool. I think that was a feature that maybe wasn't explored as much as it probably could have been. It was held back by some technology aspects and whatnot. Don't lie to chat. You're not laughing out loud. They can see you and hear you. Fucking... Fail. I just, nah, man. Nah. I gotta add the window capture, actually, now that I think about it. I just realized it's not on the screen. Let me do that real quick. Let's put it right here. Right there. That way, if it happens, we got it. Boom. Now I feel good. Got him good, yo. Oh wait, GiftBot is in here already. Shit. Let me do that again.
Yay!
It's funny, I put it in almost the exact same spot. One more time.
Yeah. Watch Dogs did give us the best laugh ever.
It's funny. But it was one of those things where Watch Dogs, I feel like at the beginning of that game, from a content creation standpoint, there was some hype around it. But because of maybe the reception of the gaming community, it wasn't as big on Twitch as it could have been. And after like a month, you know, the people that really loved the game only had a few places to go. A handful of us that were really dedicated to streaming at least a couple days a week. I became known, and I would argue that I'm still known, for my PvP 1v1 hacking. That is something that I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I'm consistently in the top 1% of both games. It's them bushes. It's all about them bushes, right?
Right.
You know. But for you, like, what kept you coming back? Like, were you doing some of the hacking? Were you doing more of the open world challenge stuff? Like, what was it about that? First game.
Well, here's the funny story, because if it wasn't for the online hacking of that game, I would never have been on Twitch to begin. I got the game. Again, like I said, I wasn't huge into games. I saw it and I wanted to try it. When I bought the game, I didn't even know Ubisoft was a company, right? So I open up my copy of the game and I see Ubisoft. I said, and I had to double check it. I thought maybe it was like a fake copy of the game. You know, I'm like, Ubisoft, I've never heard of these people before.
Oh wow!
And the guy assured me that it was a real copy of it was a real version of the game. I'm like, oh. Because I didn't know. And then I played the game. I was really enjoying the game, and somebody busted into my game, and I couldn't find them. And I thought, like, I was gonna lose a bunch of points or something if I couldn't find them. And I was losing my shit. I mean, I was freaking out. And of course, I lost the head. And then you get to the part of the game. And then you get to the part of the game where you have to, they kind of gives you a simulation of what it is. you know, you face a computer generated, you know, hacker, but then it gives you the opportunity to go and hack somebody else. And again, I have no idea what this is. So it says go up to the guy. So I walk up to the guy. It says hit the button. So I hit the button. And it says now run and find a place to hide and hope he doesn't find you. I'm like, okay. So he was like by the river. And I was literally standing right behind him when I started the hack. So I just turned around and ran, and then I jumped in the water and just started swimming. And well, of course, he saw me and shot me. I'm like, well, I have no idea what this is. I'm never doing this again, ever in my entire life. But people kept hacking me, and I couldn't find them, and I was getting frustrated. And they had a Facebook page that I was part of, and said that the devs were going to be live on a thing called Twitch that I'd never heard of, showing people how to online hack. I'm like, I have to see it. So I went to the Twitch website, and of course it wasn't on. I didn't understand the whole reason why it wasn't on yet. And I was really wanting to understand this whole thing. So I searched Watchdogs, and there was a list of people streaming, and I found one person that was online hacking, and he had a good amount of viewers, and I watched him and learned a few things and and really enjoyed the stream, and I kept coming back over and over and over again, and then they convinced me to stream, and by then I was well into hacking. I didn't like it at first. I was every time I got into a hack, I was extremely nervous about it, and I don't know why. It's just a video game, but I was.
Oh, and that's how it is, man.
And then and then by the time I was on Twitch, it was like second nature. And
there you go.
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. My favorite trick in Watch Dogs 1 was to get on top of the subway stairs and hide there, because unless you know how to get up there, you know, unless you know how to get up there, they're never going to find you. So like you would hack the game in a way. I think there was a lot of like trolley ways to hide in places that were near impossible to get to without actually glitching out of the game or whatever. I think the first game with hacking really kind of it was just this. It was new, right? They were trying to make it something that was cool, and they optimized it pretty well. And there was a few patches that made it less trolly and stuff like that. But ultimately, like, there were some easy buttons. Like, I haven't hacked in Watch Dogs 1 in years.
Right.
And I did go in on PC once and just got destroyed by somebody because it had been so long. You know, because Watch Dogs 2 PvP hacking, not to jump too far ahead, is a very different beast. It can be far easier if you let it be. But it can also be a lot harder if you don't pay attention to what's going on. You know, one of the things that I catch a lot of shit is I'm always talking through my my methodology and how I can predict behavior of certain types of people sometimes, and what the natural human instinct is in those situations. So like I have I actually have a damn emote based off it. It's because I'm always like the human brain, and everyone's like the human brain, and then they spam it. Let me find it here. Human brain, boom. There it is. And it's just a brain with a Godzilla tail on it. That's all it is. It's Brainzilla. And that's for any time that they're like, that I'm being a jerk, basically. You know. Stop lying to chat. Stop. They're right there. You're here. You could just talk to them. You could just engage them by looking at the camera saying, Adam, ha ha ha. You know?
I'm not going to interrupt you.
You can, though.
Bashbley's got a question there for you.
Yeah. Well, it started with a question for you about the whole like Assassin's Creed angle of Watch Dogs, which I think is somewhat hotly debated. Like, didn't they confirm that it is in the same universe?
They are in the same universe, yes. Which I guess would maybe explain why they've got that scarf to put over their face.
It makes sense.
That's the only thing I can think of. But and actually in Assassin's Creed Origins, there's an actual Easter egg where I can't. Please forgive me, Assassin's Creed fans. I can't remember the name of the woman, but she's in the present world, and she's going back in time, to play the Egyptian characters. And on her laptop, there's a whole bunch of information about everything. And in there, if you probe enough, you'll find an actual article about Aiden Pierce. It doesn't actually say it's Aiden Pierce, but picture of him shooting somebody and a bunch of info on him, so that it kind of basically dispels anything that would make people not know that they're in the same universe. It's the same universe.
Yeah, and I dig
just
that.
Different time.
And I feel like it appeals to fans. I feel like it does appeal like the Assassin's Creed fan base, but it also has the open world aspect to it. But there were some other aspects to the game that it kind of introduced that really hadn't been done anywhere else before, like the types of puzzles where like you're hacking things by moving stuff around and all these different types of things. And the big innovation for me in terms of storytelling, though, was I forget the name of it, folks. I apologize. I should have done more research, but the one where you hack in and you can, it was like the personal hacks. What the fuck were they called? You know what I'm talking about. The PvE where you like hack in to like the feed, and then you'd be able to watch through their webcam or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and there'd be like a story thing that plays out. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And those were some of those were notorious, as I recall. As far as like pushing the envelope on what you could do in a video game at the time and stuff, and depending upon how your stream was rated, if you weren't careful, you might break TOS by what you were streaming. So Invasion. Thank you. Invasions. Thank you, Sketty. And it was so much fun to find those. What I dug was being able to do the PvP stuff and then also like go off, do some PvE and kind of move in and out of those worlds pretty seamlessly. Although eventually it just became hack for me. But that's why I just had fun. And plus, when you initiate a hack or you try to like fast travel, it would tell you that you were being hacked, kind of thing. Which in 2 they don't give you that. Right. Unless they initiate the hack, you can just get out of there. Neon says, "I feel so lost. Never played Watchdogs. You need to, dude. They're fun games, man." But I feel like Watch Dogs 1 kind of did what it did. The DLC, huge disappointment in my opinion. It was fun.
See, but now ever since Watch Dogs, I've had a chance to play other people's DLCs. If you ever notice, a DLC is like literally you could finish it in 20 minutes.
Some of them,
if you're good at the game, but the typical DLC you could finish fairly quickly. And I don't know how much they cost. I mean, it ranged between $10 and $20, depending, I would guess. And sometimes you wonder, did you really get your money's worth? Because when you're done with the DLC, it's not like you can really just go back and play it again. You're kind of done. You just got to go back to playing the regular game. Because each game has extended gameplay beyond the story. Like Watch Dogs extended play was, you do hacking. You could do the online things against other people, or you could you do open world stuff. But with Bad Blood, you could not get that thing done in 20 minutes. I'm sorry. It took a long time. It was almost a full story in and of itself.
Yes.
And then it also allowed you to have side missions that were unending side missions that you could either do by yourself or co-op with somebody else, along with hacking as here's the old man in me again. The other guy. Not Aiden. We totally didn't prepare for this, guys. By the way, actually. Huge Watch Dogs fan. Don't remember anybody's names in the game. Is that awesome?
No. I was just proud I remembered Aiden Pierce and Marcus, whatever the fuck his last name is.
Right.
You know.
See, Sketty will help.
Right.
T-Bone, thank you, T-Bone. But I dug that, and I love the interaction between him and Tobias because it was freaking hilarious. The comedy in both Watchdogs and Bad Blood, I thought was hilarious. And I'm not just talking about the glitches, because the glitches added a whole new angle to hilarity of Watchdogs.
Yeah, don't even get me started on DeMouse. Like, I don't even want to talk about that piece of shit. Like, I wanted to rip his dick off, shove it down his throat, and then show him, his dead corpse to his mother and punch her in the throat for making him a thing. Oh, that guy annoyed the piss out of me. Just an awful human being.
Right. And it really pissed me off that you were able to shoot him and kill him in the regular game, and he wasn't really dead, because he comes back in the second game. But I actually found out that we're supposed to lose him in that car chase, because I think I lost him during one of my playthroughs, and you find his car empty and his mask sitting there. And I think that's what they intended you to do in that game, was to lose him in the end. And that's why he comes back in Bad Blood. But every other time I was able to catch him and shoot him. And
like, you make a character that annoying. What do you expect? What do you think we're gonna do? Like, oh, it's fine. You can leave. You've been trolling me for like hours. No, it's fine. I restarted this level like 17 times, you piece of shit. Yeah, you can leave. Right. Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, jeez. No.
And I agree with Sketty. Jordy was one of my absolute favorite characters in that game, just because he was so witty. He just said things just off the cuff that just made you go.
Yeah, and it was levity. Like, that game was really what was very dark, and not like, ooh, it's dark, but just what it was telling, the way where Aiden was coming from. It needed levity, and Jordy brought that, and it never felt like it was out of place. That was the thing. And I feel like when I talk about the DLC being a disappointment, we talk about DLC, which is just tacked on content, right? Versus a game like Division or Destiny or WoW, where these games were meant to go on for a while, and these were like expansions where they tack on content that then weaves into the game, extends gameplay in a different way. Instead of, I feel like there's a middle ground we still haven't hit, and I don't think that Ubisoft really learned their lesson going to Watch Dogs 2, because I think the DLC for that game was even, honestly, more lackluster than Watch Dogs 1. It was good stuff. I enjoyed it, but it was like there wasn't as much going on to keep the game going as there probably should be. I think that if there's a failing of the Watch Dogs franchise to date, it's that it doesn't have this kind of lasting support. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Blast in his head. Blast in his head. It's getting meta, folks. It's getting meta, chat, because he's like sitting here listening politely, but also like, let me just talk to everybody, because this motherfucker won't shut up. Laughs in his head. I love
hey, this is your stream. You're allowed to not.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but this is your show too. Like, you're part of it. You're a co-host for this thing.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, I'm not ever thinking that you're talking too much. I don't know. I kind of talked a lot.
I get it, though. And the thing is, you can interject. If you have something to say, just interject. That's how tangents and points are created in a conversation, sir. It's totally fine. Right. But I do think we probably should catch up with Chad a little bit here. Troy said that there's one of the invasions that will always remind him of me, and I don't know which one that is. I'm curious. And Rez just banned you, which is funny.
Oh no,
he's just trolling it. But and then there was. Skitty says Tobias was annoying as hell. I was glad when I found the glitch to shoot him, then he respawned. Oh.
I mean, yes, Tobias was annoying as hell, but I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was just I really felt like the freedom was great. and the game would tell you if you weren't supposed to do something, which was not often. It wasn't very often that it would be like, oh, you just fucked the mission up. You gotta start over, or you can't do that. Oh, bad, bad, bad. So thank goodness for that. In some ways, it had even more freedom than like a GTA game. In some ways, and maybe not as much as, say, a Hitman game, which is another game you and I are big fans of.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the fact that in the story missions, you kind of had a lot of different ways you could approach it. There weren't huge penalties in any one direction. You could kind of approach it how you want to, and that's not just going for the PvE stuff, but also the PvP stuff, where you could mess with stuff a lot. It was pretty cool. But Watch Dogs 1 kind of came and went to a certain degree. We knew they were going to do another one. We knew there were some criticisms. Watch Dogs 2 gets announced. I see what they're doing with it. I'm on board with it. And when it finally released, it seemed to deliver on what it was promising. The campaign was like over twice as long as the first one. There you go, dude. I didn't go that far with it, but I felt like they just turned the whole thing on its head by not going for super dark Aiden Pierce. I was hoping for another Aiden Pierce game, but at the same time, I understand why they didn't do it. What was
they wanted to reach a whole new a whole new group of people.
I would argue that they didn't really accomplish that per se.
No,
I feel like the game had the potential to do that.
Backfired on them because here's what I saw through my eyes on, because you saw so many people love Watch Dogs, and then there were a huge amount of people that hated Watch Dogs, and I think the reason that most people that like the gaming world hated Watch Dogs was for three things that I heard the most. Was the driving was horrible, and the fact that they had promoted the next gen graphic game, and then they downgraded graphic, downgraded it for the release, and didn't give people what they wanted, and then also that the missions were very repetitious. Now, I like the repetition because obviously it wasn't the same mission over and over again. It was the same mission, but as you progress through the game, it was a little bit more difficult, or there was a twist to it, or it was slightly different. And all games technically should be kind of like that, or the cookie cutter game, because if you just jump right into the hardest mission, you aren't going to succeed. But if you work your way there, then by the time you're at the most difficult part of the game, you have the knowledge, the tool to get you through. I guess games like The Last of Us is a good example of how video games aren't repetitious, because there isn't really, tasks to perform. You're just playing a movie. Yeah. And Watch Dogs wasn't that game, and neither is Destiny, or neither is Warframe or Hitman. Each game has a different style, and you were talking earlier about Hitman. Hitman is basically the same mission over and over and over again, only it gradually gets more difficult, or there's twists in it. But people don't think about that because it's a different style of game than Watch Dogs, or
When with Hitman though, and I don't want to go too deep into that because we could have a whole other fucking show about that. We could, but I think with Hitman, like, it focuses almost exclusively on the replayability that it has. If you go through and just do every campaign mission once and then put the game down, you are missing the point of that game, man. You are missing the point of that. And it's just one of those things, Fortnite is super repetitious. It just drops you in and off it goes. But with Watch Dogs, there was this kind of, progression and whatnot and everything else. There was one big change between Watch Dogs 1 and 2 that I was very happy about. And that was the lack of a reputation system with the public going into 2. Although you gained followers, and that was an important factor, you didn't really lose anything by shooting somebody. if you weren't careful in Watch Dogs 1, throughout the end game, you had to like maintain super squeaky clean approach to everything, or else you were going to get constantly fucked with by the cops. And I hated that. I felt like once you finish the game, once you maxed out the thing, you should be able to just have it locked, and then that's that. It shouldn't have this like ongoing battle. Like I should be able to, without consequence, once I've beaten the game or gotten to a certain level or played this many hours, I should be able to go in and just waste a room full of people if I want to, without permanently affecting my gameplay experience moving forward. Watch Dogs 2 did answer that, I feel like. So with Watch Dogs 2, yeah, it's funnier. You've got a different protagonist. I'd say that there was a better cast of characters. There's not a character that clearly, like, it's so telegraphed as to what they're going to do. You know within the second cutscene that this person's going to do what they're going to do. And when that happens, you're like, oh, and then when that person, spoilers, maybe gets mortally wounded, that, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad. I'm like, no, this character has about as much depth as a kiddie pool. Wasn't that interested in the first place. I'm not going to feel bad, whatever. You know, the story of Watch Dogs 1 has a pretty cool... Ooh, shit. We just got raided by Darls. Thanks for that raid. You are amazing, and I love you. Thank you, everyone coming over from Darl's stream. Folks, my name is Grindhead Jim. I'm joined by my good friend, AeroGarfield29. We're talking about Watch Dogs tonight, and what we like about that franchise, what we're looking for in the third one. We haven't gotten to that yet.
Could you fucking not?
Yes, I fucking could, Darls. And I just want... I think you guys, if you're coming from Darl's stream, you pretty much know who I am, what we do. We believe in letting the freak flag fly. We believe in... You just be you. You know, you just believe in you and like what you like, and you're safe here. You could be happy here. As long as you're not an asshole or a bigot, we're good. So let them... I almost knocked over my drink. But before I knock over my drink, I'm going to go let loose with my raid command. And you guys enjoy that. I'll be right back. I didn't have a hot button to get back to that screen. I freaked out for a second. I'm like, I have to use my mouse. Who uses the mouse anymore? Me. But Darls, thank you for bringing over your folks. We really appreciate that. Which was weird. It was like this weird flip-flop where we raided her an hour ago, and then she finished up her stream and raided us when we came back. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Cat Squatch wants to know what the magical sorcery is I have from the following emotes. It is something that was integrated into Stream Elements, I think it was. The name of it's called Kappa Gen. 2 words. Gen is Gen. And you can use it for free through Stream Elements. I don't use anything else by them. I'm a Streamlabs guy myself. But when I saw that overlay, I just loved... I love what that does. I love what it is capable of. There's other tools that do it, but I've been using this one since it came out. It was the first, it was the original, so I just use that. That's where you can get that. So we were talking about Watch Dogs 2 and the reputation system and everything. Were you surprised by the fact that Watch Dogs 2's campaign was so much longer than Watch Dogs 1?
I don't think I felt the same as you on that one.
You don't feel like it was longer?
I felt Watch Dogs was longer. And Watch Dogs had more twists because it's like the story starts off this way, and you think like, oh, it seems like Aiden's got this all wrapped. He's got everything figured out. And then suddenly, you know, Damien, throws kind of a little corkscrew into it. And then suddenly this is happening, and you're like going, wait a minute, this is starting to get out of proportion. This is not what Aiden, wanted. And then you think, wow, he's starting to tie things together and things are finally coming. And then suddenly there's this gangster that's in the middle of things. And well, then we find out that everything's being run by this old geezer. And then just when you think you get in that storyline title, well, then there's this rat guy that's trying to frame you. And so basically the story, it keeps dividing off, and then finally you get this killer ending that it just wraps everything up with a tight bow, and then you're like, yes, finale. And then with Watchdogs 2, it was different, and I like it any less, but it just seemed like, hey, here's this group of DedSec people, and they're trying to fight, against this and this and this, and then a protagonist comes in and causes problems, and then they find a way to defeat him, and then happy end. That was it. That's Watchdogs 2 in a quick sum up for me. Again, I loved it.
It was more linear. Yeah, I could see
it was just too neat and tidy for me. For me, after Watchdogs 1. If Watchdogs 2 had come out first, I probably would have had different opinions on it. I would have been more enthused about it, because Watchdogs would have been like, whoa, this is like a step up. I think as far as story-wise, they took a step down, but the game itself, Watchdogs 2, did everything that we had hoped that Watchdogs 1 would do.
Right.
So for me, it wasn't a fail. The only thing that failed for me is Watchdogs 2 seemed so good and such a step up from Watchdogs 1 that when it was finally released and it didn't get any love except for the people who love Watchdogs, it was like, what happened?
Right.
Like, and I was there for the pre-release because Ubisoft had given us there was 4 Watchdog Star players, and actually they kind of adopted a fifth one in because he was a Twitch partnered streamer, and they gave us all opportunities to stream the game like over 24 hours ahead of the release, but we could only play certain missions, and we had hundreds of viewers coming in and asking us questions and intrigued about the game. And I was excited because I thought this is what's going to happen when the rest of Twitch starts playing Watchdogs. You're going to see Watchdogs at the top, Watchdogs 2 at the top of when you go to follow, and the day it released, squash.
Crickets.
It was like some of the partner streamers played it, but they did the quick, run through, shoot everything, get it done quick and over, and cast it aside. And it got nothing that it deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like, and this is where I think we get to like the longevity of Watchdogs 2 into 3. I think, and for the record, Watchdogs 3 has not even been announced, let alone like we don't even know if it's going to be a thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind saying every tweet that I've put out that we're talking about what we want in Watchdogs 3, the Watchdogs Twitter account, which does not post anything, has liked every single one. They're watching. Those dogs are watching. So I don't think they would like the tweets of us talking about Watchdogs 3 if there wasn't a Watchdogs 3 in development.
Right.
I'm just going to go out there on a limb and say that.
And and here's the funny thing about this whole night is neither of us worked for Ubisoft.
True.
Neither of us were, this was totally Jim's idea. And he just said, let's just get on and just have fun talking about Watchdogs, and then contemplate what could be or what we would like to see if it ever happened. Now, I didn't do any research tonight. I've never been, like I said, that gaming nerd. When a game comes out, I see it and I'd be like, I want to play. And if I see a game and I don't want to play it, I don't play it. That's who I am as a person. I will always love Watchdogs because of the first game and the second game, and no matter how good or bad a Watchdogs game is, if they release a Watchdogs game, I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna love it because that's who I am.
Yeah, I'm totally in the bag for anything Watchdogs.
But I'm not in the Reddit. I'm not on the Watchdogs Reddit. I don't, see what people are talking about, this, that. I do know that there was this story about an app that Ubisoft came up with where you could ask it questions and it answered you. And if you were to ask questions about Watch Dogs 3, it gave you a weird answer, but it wasn't it's not in development answer. It was basically it was like a huge hint saying, yes, it's pretty much in development. So we all know that it's being developed. I
have no idea about
it. Everything based around that is all speculation. It's all speculation. Only Ubisoft knows what is what with Watch Dogs.
Yeah. So I'm going to briefly touch on the longevity of Watch Dogs 2, such as it is. And then we're going to go right into Watch Dogs 3, because what I have to say about 2 leads into what I think 3 needs the most. And I'll kick that off. Watch Dogs 2 is replayable. There's a lot of cool stuff. You can go back, replay the story missions if you want to. I probably need to do that at some point, because I enjoy those missions a lot. But like, they did introduce seasons, which I thought was really, really smart. The concept alone works. It does, because it does keep me coming back, because I want to stay in that top 1%. Ubisoft knows I'm in the top 1%. The Watch Dogs account knows I'm in the top 1%, because they keep liking it. They keep saying, we see you. They probably don't give me Star Player because I'm not playing it super consistently. And I swear a fuckload. That's probably the other reason.
I don't think that swearing would have anything to do with it. I mean, look at their games. Their games riddled with swearing. In fact, Watch Dogs 2 had much more swearing and graphic nature than Watch Dogs 1 did. I was like my son asked me the other day, he said, can I play Watch Dogs? I said, honestly, if you were to play Watch Dogs 1, I wouldn't mind, but I'm still not comfortable with you playing Watch Dogs 2 because of the content that's in that game. I mean, it kind of made me, some of the things was like, holy crap. Because the F-bomb is in every sentence.
What the fuck are you talking about?
But it doesn't.
What's wrong with fucking swearing?
It doesn't bother me. Well, it doesn't bother me, but it's definitely more prominent in Watch Dogs.
And as a parent, it does get to be a bit different, and there's stuff that, I'm definitely down for my teenage stepson playing that I'm definitely not down for my 10-year-old stepdaughter playing. And there's even some stuff I'd let him play that I wouldn't let my 16-year-old daughter play, which is, it's a weird double standard, but at the same time, it's that could be a whole damn stream too. Parenting, parent streamers. We should have a roundtable for that one, folks. If you're interested in that, do at me on Twitter at Grindhead Jim. Tell me you want to see a roundtable of streamers that are parents that have gaming kids. I think that would be a great time. So, yeah, Sketty, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. When Watch Dogs 2 first came out, it had the best possible publicity you could ever have. And they didn't waste it. I think they did a smart thing with what they did. When the game came out, if some people went down a certain way, you could easily see that every single character model was in graphic detail, anatomically correct. Graphic detail. In a word, labia, ladies and gentlemen. There was labia
Jim,
in the
game. You told me I could interrupt you.
Yes.
If I needed to interrupt you, I need to interrupt you for something very important.
Just say it.
Right about now.
Motherfucker.
Welcome to the Disciples.
Thanks for the resub, dude. Appreciate that.
Of course, man.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, yes, you did though. It's fine. It's cool. Thing is, though, I think we're going to be doing this with some degree of regularity because this is too much goddamn fun talking to you like this. Next time you want to do something like that, you could just go totally and say, remember when I said I could interrupt you? Yeah, that would have been, a little bit more finesse, a little bit more stealth. Okay, as a fellow Hitman player, I thought you had more panache than that, sir. Step up.
I was compromised. I hit the reset button.
And you're on camera. And there's no way to destroy the evidence.
I'm gonna have. Son of a.
Oh, it's crazy. But labia. But you could see like lady parts. You could see dude parts. And for one thing, I thought honestly that was really cool. But I was also worried that no one in San Francisco was wearing underwear, ever.
Right?
Ever.
Including the naked people.
Including the naked people. I mean, that's the definition of naked, right? But it within like a couple days, I think it was, like maybe not even a week, they were able to patch it to where that was no longer a thing. I think the worry, what is it? Is it rated teen or is it rated mature? I think it's rated mature.
Oh, it's totally mature. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Mature.
So like, I feel like
which mature means kids don't tell your parents that you're playing this game. That's basically what mature.
Ubisoft. You don't give me Star Player, you give this guy Star Player? Come on, man. I'm kidding.
Hey, I was completely taken aback by. I was never, ever in a million years expecting anything like. The only thing I did was stream Watchdogs and nothing but Watchdogs for a year plus on Twitch, and then host other, like literally, I think at the beginning of my Twitch I only hosted Watchdogs streamers at first.
Right.
So, and then we did a charity that we notified Ubisoft about. But I remember when they first invited me, me and 4 other prominent Watchdogs players, and I had a friend, the guy that introduced me to stream, who played much more Watchdogs than me, knew much more glitches and ways around the game than I. And I was like, why didn't he get invited?
Right.
In fact, I actually wrote them a letter and I said, I will step down as one of the star players if you don't invite this guy. Like, give him my invitation because he deserves it more than me. And then they said, no, we already invited him before you said. And I was like, okay, well, that's good because
it didn't make sense. No, I got you.
It didn't make. But then there was like another person who you may know of, Inventor Blades, and all he does is stream online hacking at the time.
Right.
He's both Assassin's Creed and Watchdogs.
Yeah.
You know, now he's moved on to other things like Fortnite and whatnot. But at the time, that's all he streamed was Assassin's Creed and Watchdogs. Sure. And the fact that he didn't get asked to become star player, odd for me, but he had been asked to be star player years before for Assassin's Creed, so maybe that's why. Sure. Maybe Watchdogs 2 wasn't as big of a game for them, so they because they literally only invited 4 people. Well, there was 5 people. They invited one other that couldn't make. And then like I said, they
and to be fair, like
Creed guys and
to be fair to all the chiding that I'm giving you, I feel like I probably am more on the radar with Watchdogs 2 than I am with 1.
True.
So, like, with Watchdogs 2, like, I streamed that for months and months straight, and now I always come back to it every couple months, and I'll do the whole season, where for, like, a week, we'll just spam the hacks until I get to master level, and then I might stick with it, I might not, and then the next season I come back. I've only skipped a couple seasons. But that's kind of what I was with that. The cosmetic rewards you get for a season, they're okay. But for me as a player, those don't hold a lot of weight because I have a specific outfit I like to wear, not just for my player identity, but also they physically and tactically. Wait, rub it in here. Rub it in.
Well, this is the outfit that I put on Marcus every time I play. I don't put him in any other outfit.
Well, you've seen me play. I wear like the black fedora, and I wear black pants, black shoes, and then the green and black checkered shirt because they break silhouette. They're great. Dude, I am a master bush hider. That is where I live, because, and people have heard me say this millions of times, for some reason, people don't look there. 90% of the time, if you see me hacking, if I hack you in a game, if you're watching this and I hack you in a game, you see Grindhead Jim, or whatever, you need to know there's only 2 places you're going to find me. Generally speaking, I'm either going to be dead center in your radar, or I'm going to be on the outer edges of the hacking area in a bush, and almost always in a bush. That's where you're going to find me.
See, now I used to love bushes in Watch Dogs 1 because so many great bush spots. But then with and I don't know if Watch Dogs 2 changed this, but the drone could see your body wherever you were.
It still
if
can.
You're in a car, if you're in a bush. Okay.
Still can.
So unless you find a bush that just happens to be underneath something or well hidden, I lost all luck with bushes. So I stopped hiding in bushes unless I found one, like I said, that just was in the perfect spot.
Yeah, basically, unless you are right next to the person in that like stealth mode, or you're using a drone, bushes are like almost invincible in Watch Dogs 2. But basically, the reason I win so many 1v1 matches is because there's a few different styles of hackers in Watch Dogs, and Watch Dogs 2 in particular. You've got your drone user. You've got but those guys, for whatever reason, they go to the center of the map and they use the drone. And when I see someone who isn't like dicking around and shooting a lot, I'm like, that guy's a drone user. So I'll go in the center and I'll just sit because he's in the center with his drone and he goes out around looking. And he doesn't find me because he's not searching for himself. He's searching for me.
Right.
Or in those cases, depending upon where you are, if you've got good terrain or good hiding spots, it's good to go out on the far edges because the drone's never going to reach there because of the range limits. So that becomes interesting. But then you have the shooters, guys that will just run around and pew, 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 blah, 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 blah. And yes, I have good luck in the bush. Thank you. Things said in an orgy. He was holding it in. I could see him holding it in. It's fine. It's what I'm known for. I get it. It's fine. It's fine.
The shooters are fun though, because then you can hack the cars and run them over.
Yes. Don't kill the target, and I'm like always really careful. Like I'll just clip them, knock them down a little bit.
Right. Call the cops in on them. That's how.
Or if they're somewhere in the middle where they're a pretty smart player, but they're not afraid to fire off a few rounds, or if I just can't tell what kind of player they are, what I will try to do is create a diversion by hacking into somebody and throwing a gang member on them or the police to create a ruckus that will then make them think that I'm doing something over there. Like, oh, we're here. And then the cops kill them. And then it's like they've lost half of their time and all this stuff. There's a ton of different ways to approach it, which is great. And that makes it replayable. But the seasons in and of themselves don't provide the incentive beyond just getting the rank. Because the rewards are like, I don't know what the answer would be to how you would make that better, but I feel like giving more incentive to play the game over that long period of time would be like my biggest want for Watch Dogs 3. Do you have any ideas on what they might be able to do with that, or something you would like to see?
Gosh. See. And this is what's really hard for me, is because I did so much hacking in Watch Dogs 1, and I did it because it was fun, and it was funny, and people would come and engage, and I didn't feel, because if you've seen my streams, and Adam is going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I get here, and so is Sketty, is if I'm playing a game that I'm not comfortable with, I want desperately to do well, and then I start focusing on the game, and then I forget to look at chat, and then I'm like staring at the screen with my mouth open, and people are talking, and I'm responding to them. And it's with Watch Dogs, it was like I could hack somebody, go in a hiding spot, and then look at chat, talk to them, and then do something funny, and oh, that's hilarious, and then see what chat is reacting. But then after doing that repetitively, and only that for so long as I did, I literally got burnt of and decided to move on to other games. And now I'm in this hole where I want to go back and play Watch Dogs 1 and 2, but I'm having too much fun playing new games that I don't want to relive an old game anymore. And it's not that I don't love Watch Dogs 1 and 2 anymore. It's just I still have so much more to do. And that's what's happening with Fortnite with me. Now, I've been playing with Fortnite for over a year and a half. And yes, there's still things in it that I need to accomplish in my brain before I can let it go. And then part of me doesn't want to let it go because new things keep coming out that I say, hey, I need that. I need that. But my main mentality is now I want to do Hitman. Now I want to do Red Dead Redemption. Now I want to, explore these other games, and I don't really feel like sticking out with Fortnite, but then part of me doesn't want to totally give it up because I might miss something. Whereas with Watch Dogs, there really isn't anything to me. It's just the same game.
It's just sitting there, right?
Going anywhere. It's just sitting there.
Like, to me at that point,
I haven't uninstalled them. I mean, they're still on PlayStation.
Exactly.
They're still there.
I think with when we talk about Watch Dogs and going back to them, I think the reason that we do it is because of the interaction with chat and the experience of just sharing those moments with people, which is great. But that's what keeps us coming back. The average player doesn't have that ability unless they have someone they sit on the couch with and play the game with. They're not going to have that. So I try to remove my content. I take my content creator hat off and I put my player hat on. And I go, okay, so why would I play this game if I wasn't streaming? And the answer is I wouldn't. Because I've tried and I'm like, this is boring. It's boring to me to just hack over and over again if I can't share it with somebody.
Right.
So I like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I feel like they have to have, I don't know if it should be PvE content. I don't know if it should be like bounties or something. Like maybe they could have because like Bungie does a thing where they find like top PvP players and then make a bounty for them where if you find them in the wild and you win, you get like an exclusive emblem for your character or something. And maybe doing that with PvP and Watch Dogs, or maybe having like some kind of a interaction that is more like a PvE VP where there's a named boss like you have in Fortnite or Destiny or whatever, and then everyone has to go, and whoever kills them first, on that day within this period of time gets a special thing. I don't know, something like that. I don't know.
Or who can get the furthest into a specific area using hacking and stealth without being caught. That might be a great challenge.
Okay, let me explore that with you.
Okay.
Because that's a really, really good idea. So,
so
by the way, thanks for the follow.
You have this big corporation build, and your goal of 5 different hackers. And in Watch Dogs 2, we saw different divisions. We saw DedSec. We saw, other hackers that were against DedSec.
Like,
right?
Like the guerrillas and stuff.
Right. So then you have these alternate hacking people go into this building, and their goal is to get to the destination, like I said, without using hacking and without getting spotted or whatever. And whoever makes it first or gets spotted the least, or you get more points for whatever, maybe that would be a thing. And then maybe
almost a capture the flag kind of situation where let's say like there you've got a building, and at the top of the building is a flag or thing or an artifact you pick up, and whoever gets there first wins. But if they get spotted at any point along the way, it still is moving along until someone who hasn't gotten spotted gets there, and then they win. Right. But if you get there first, and you haven't been spotted, that ends the match and you won.
Right. And then maybe being spotted will escalate to you might get killed, and then that automatically disqualifies you. Whereas if you get spotted and shot at, but you're able to escape, you're still in the game and you still have a chance, That
would be cool.
Brother Whiskey actually brings up a good point, which is what was great about Watch Dogs 2 was, and as you made reference to, in Watch Dogs 1, if you were really good and did the game, great, then you had this high approval rating at the end and the cops didn't mess with you. But then if you messed up and killed people, ran over people, then, you were suddenly a menace to society, even though you were still a good player. In Watch Dogs 2, they made the game for everybody. You could either play it stealthy or you could go guns blazing and still accomplish the goal. However, you had to be really good at guns blazing because they made their NPCs really damn smart, so that you had a better chance at getting through it using stealth. But they gave you the option, and then there is one mission where you're forced to go in guns blazing in the story, which I hated. Because I kept dying. I'm like, this is not me. This is not who I am. But then, like in Watch Dogs 1, I think you could complete almost the first half of the game without shooting a single bullet. If you play it right, which is amazing to me. I like that. I liked being able to do every mission just on the cameras, but then I liked Watch Dogs 2 where you couldn't always get on a camera, so then you could go into that fuzzy, focus and see the cameras through the walls. I dug that. I liked that. But then it was more than just about hacking cameras. You were supposed to hack controls and people's cars and people's phones and people's this and that to get to your...
And there was a lot more versatile ways to do that, too.
Exactly.
I like that.
And so... In my opinion, and again, not knowing anything that they were doing for Watch Dogs 3, I would like to incorporate both games. I want them to go back to dark.
Okay.
I want the game to be mysterious and lots of twists and like I didn't see that come, but then have it where you don't just have to be stealthy. You can go guns blazing. You have to, it brings out skills in all sorts of different things, but I would like to see them come, like you said, make it creative in a way or in a storyline that draws people in and doesn't push people away. Because
I have an idea.
Was that?
Why not have Aiden Pierce come back, have Marcus come back, and a new player character come back that's maybe more wanting to do the guns blazing thing, but can do stealth, and he's new at it. Like he's really green and like he's learning his shit. And the campaign can be played with each character, and you get a totally different viewpoint of all the events. So now you've got a reason to play the campaign three ways to play. Right, you have 3 different ways to play. You have three ways to go through the story. So it kind of creates this vibe. Based upon your playthrough, you'll get like achievements based off of the different, players and stuff like that. So it gives you a reason to do it. And then you can earn, if you complete it with each person, you get different gadgets you can use in the end game. Speaking of gadgets, biggest design fail for me in Watch Dogs 2. Why can I only hold 2 guns at a time? In Watch Dogs 1, every weapon I had, I was available to me at any given time. I
think they tried to make Watch Dogs 2 more realistic because in Watch Dogs 1, it was really cool having all those guns, but then it took you 20 years to find the gun you were looking for. So
why don't we take both of those systems and condense them to where you could make as big or as small of a loadout as you want, but you always have access to those weapons. So let's say if you decide you're only going to take 4 weapons out with you, you don't have access to the rest of the weapons, but you could take everything you have.
Or maybe make that an unlock system where you start off and you can only have 2 guns, but then by the end of the game you can have maybe, in your arsenal. Sure. I definitely don't think they should go overboard like they did in Watch Dogs 1 because they do want to have it somewhat realistic. And I kind of dig that. I mean, obviously video games are not going to be ever, 100%. Obviously there would be a respawn. But see, I would like Ubisoft to do something totally this would be the most far-fetched idea, and I don't even think they would ever go for this. But the one thing I loved about Watch Dogs 1 was that there were as many glitches in it as it had. But obviously, the typical gamer doesn't like having glitches. So maybe making not glitches in the game, but things that if you like hidden Easter eggs, where if you do certain things in the game, it causes those weird things to happen in the game, so that it adds that moment of humor. Because like Watch Dogs 2 had none of that. When you're goofing off and playing, the only humor you have to go off of is what Ubisoft put in that game. Sure. Whereas in Watch Dogs, things would happen that you could never imagine seeing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to my YouTube, and I have like clips of things that happened to me in Watch Dogs, and it doesn't even cover half of what went on. I mean, from NPCs going crazy and doing this to Aiden's leg going up and around behind his neck, to a car blowing up and then standing perfectly vertical, to getting your car stuck on the side of a building. I mean, to Aiden floating in midair, waving his hand. I mean, it was insane. The kind of glitches that the game had, and it was completely broken, and people hated that, but it was funny as shit to watch.
Yeah,
it was funny as shit, and I think that's the only thing that I miss about not playing the game. But the problem is, and the thing, and here's the reason why I don't play it as much as I used to, is because I've seen other people that are really talented as yourself, and it's just like I want, it's like I don't feel like it can bring anything new to the table. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean, it sounds like a dumb excuse, but that's where I sit. So it's like, and then the whole aspect of finding new games to play.
Sure.
Too, so, but
from a content standpoint, though, like if you don't like watching me play the game, you might like watching you play the game. Like, it's not about, because people come to me for Watchdog stuff because of the way I react to it, and maybe the fact I'm like, oh, watch this shit. Now, like the pint challenge, where I'll be like, all right, watch, controller down, and I'll just sit and drink a beer, and and I'll drink this whole beer, and he won't catch me, kind of thing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You don't do that, so it's a different flavor. Like, it's a different flavor of ice cream. So it isn't necessarily that, because I would argue that you to Watchdogs is me to Hitman. Like, I'm not that very good at it. But and I'm not after every single little thing per se. I want to do certain things in a certain way, but it's a different kind of a reaction to the game than what you would have, and a different outlook for it. So like, I wouldn't let that, the fact that you feel like you're not bringing something to the table, like you are bringing something to the table every time you boot that game, but you're bringing you. And that's the best reason to watch you play Watch Dogs, is you are playing Watch Dogs and you love the game, and you look at it in different ways than I do. Like, you love the glitches. Like, I don't pay attention to them at all. When they happen, they're fun, but that's like your jam. Like, that's your thing. And for someone who has an enthusiast about that, and I know there's a whole bunch of people that play Watch Dogs there's a whole subset of the community that loves the glitches. They're not going to get that from me. They'll get it from you, though. Right. So like, I think there's a reason to do it, and I keep threatening to start the campaign for Watch Dogs 1 and 2 over on PC and play it, because I have it on PS4 and PC both. I don't know. I keep threatening to do it, and maybe I will. If Ubisoft ever gets around to announcing Watch Dogs 3, would give me huge incentive to do that, because then
all right, I have a challenge for you. I did this with a group of friends, and we did this to raise money for charity. And if you decide to do this for charity, then I'm all for it. But if not, then it's okay. But I say you and I speed run race Watch Dogs 1 together. We take a day where we'll both have the entire day off. We start at a certain time, and then we just no side missions. We just run the campaign and see who can get it done first. And
you're gonna win.
No preparing. No. I have not played it in over 3-4 years now. I have not played Watch Dogs 1 at all. And again, I would not, no preparing. I would not prepare. I would literally, when we go, we go. As far as Watch Dogs 2, I think we should. I don't think we can play all the missions together. Co-oping a little bit of the way would be kind of fun.
Adam, you would win your bet. Save your money. You'd win your bet, dude. There's no way I'm getting through it faster than him.
I have played a campaign about 7 or 8 times. So.
Yeah, I've only played it like 2 or 3 times, but at the same time,
Watchdogs 2, I only played one.
Right. So I feel like, if anything, and I don't know why I'm giving away my goddamn strategy already, I feel like I would not have any concern for anything except getting to the end of it. I would be cutthroat. I would be literally cutthroat. I would just be like, if I don't give a shit, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. I don't care. I would try everything I could to suppress my natural instincts in getting it done perfectly, and just get through it, which would be difficult for me to do.
But see, that's the thing is when you're doing a speed run, it doesn't matter how you do. It is. As long as you, I gotta say though, the last time it took 9.5 hours for me to go from beginning to final credit. So it was a challenge. The hardest part is getting from one mission to the next, because as soon as the mission ends, you start driving and you're like, where's the next one? And you go like a mile down the road, and then the yellow glitch, the little dot lights up, back behind you where you just came from, like,
It almost makes more sense to just get on the road, stop, wait.
Or if you remember where the next one is.
Like you will.
Sometimes,
for some of them.
For some of them, the beginning of the game I remember better than the end of the game for whatever reason. I do not know.
So I feel like we should have some. So folks, guess what? Spoilers. I want to do this, and no, he never approached me with this before, so I'm totally going to do it. I will totally do it, and we can do it for St. Jude's. We can make that happen. I don't know when we're going to do it.
Neither do I.
Maybe I'm hoping sometime around spring they announce the game, and I think right after they announce it, that's when we should do it. I think that's when we should do it. But I think one of the rules probably need to be, we need to do something to impair Garfield's memory. So like,
how can you do that?
Maybe I'll send you a bottle of wine. You have to drink the whole thing the night before. I'll do the same thing. I will drink the equivalent. I will be hungover too. So maybe it'll be like the hungover.
Drink something other than wine, though. Well, actually, I guess.
Well, like whatever it is. So like, the night before, you drink a very large amount of some alcohol is guaranteed to give you a bad hangover, right?
Beer gives me a bad hangover.
There you go. Maybe we do the show the night before. We're going to give ourselves a good 8 hours to get some sleep, but then we both have to drink through the whole thing. We'll go, beer for beer. And to be fair, what I will do is make sure that whatever you're drinking has a lower alcohol content than what I'm drinking, so that it's an even playing field. I think that's fair, because I do drink more and I have a higher tolerance. Therefore, I need to imbibe it. So we drink, pass out, wake up at the same times. We're both hungover, dehydrated, whatever. I'm not encouraging anyone to be sick. I'm not encouraging anyone to be ill. I'm not trying to hurt the guy. But we're both going in, so the 2019 hungover Watchdog speedrun for charity with AeroGarfield and Grindhead Jim.
I'll one up you on this.
Shit.
If we can figure out a way to have an alert with music pop up for each donation every time somebody donates, and only if we can get this to work, because if we can't get this
There's
to
an
work,
easy way to do that. There's an easy way to do that.
Okay.
Tiltify does that.
Talk about that later. Okay, cool. So we'll make the alert, and this is what I used to do, and Sketty's going to love this, is every time the alert goes off, it'll be the Benny Hill theme song, and no matter what I'm doing, I have to, if I'm driving, I have to stop the car and get out, or if I'm in the middle of a mission, it doesn't matter. I have to start running around like a madman with Aiden until the song ends.
Would I have to do the same thing?
No, just me.
Okay, so that's your handicap. So you're saying for every donation
that comes on my screen, because obviously, well, I guess it would come on your screen at the same time. So I guess as long as the thing pops up, if I hear the song play, I have to jump out and run around like a madman, or stop doing what I'm doing and just.
Okay. Okay, I like that.
Which is
that's
what
practical.
I used to do. I used to do this when people donate. the song would interrupt, and I would literally just take off with a and I stopped doing it because it was interrupting my hacks because I was trying to hack people and I'd have to run around like a madman. It drove me crazy, so I got rid of it. But if we could, if Tiltify we could figure that out.
Oh yeah, what we would just do is all we'd have to do is make just without going too into detail. We'd have to create a campaign, make St. Jude the beneficiary. We're both members of the same team, and then we just put a browser source in with that alert, and that's it.
There you go.
Super simple.
Cool.
And we could do that. So here's the deal. So we may withdraw the hungover version of this because I think the handicap is sound. But we should get together, like have a couple beers the night before just to celebrate and hype it up.
Okay.
But nothing too crazy.
Okay.
So with that handicap, I think that's very fair. So the way I think we need to do it is just wait for them to announce it. And then if they don't announce Watch Dogs 3 this year, we can do it this time next year, like right after the year starts or something like that.
Okay.
All right. But the caveat is neither of us are allowed to touch Watch Dogs 1 at all until this happens.
Okay.
Period.
Unless, well, if you want to go hacking, hacking is a different ballpark. I probably won't because, like I said, I got my hands on so many other things. Okay.
Watch Dogs 2 is fair game. Watch Dogs 1's off limits.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we just said that we're not allowed to play Watch Dogs 1 until they announce Watch Dogs 3, and even then only for charity. Fucking, I can't believe it. It'll be fun. We'll take care of some kids, man.
That's right. Well, that'll be. And by the way, I came up with this idea just off the top of my head, but I am nervous about this because I was kind of daunted when I was first approached by a friend of mine named Milky to do this the first time, but we did it, and it was an insane day. And we raised $1,500 for, it was a battered women's shelter that we were raising money for.
Nice.
And I raised 800 of that, so I was like really thrilled.
Right on,
that we
dude.
Do that, and 9.5 hours. I actually thought it was going to take longer to play the game. So
right on, dude.
By the way, I lost. There was one of the other players beat me by a half an hour, but to be honest, we had. I think I had a goal of $500, and if I met the goal, we were going to have a dance party. So I literally stopped playing the game for 15, 20 minutes while we just played music and I jammed, and it was pretty funny.
Cool, dude.
It was it was a fun day.
So Sketty wants to know if we're both playing on PlayStation. I think that's the only fair way to go. Unless you have it on PC and you want to just do it from PC, or whatever.
Well, we could do a PC. That would be another handicap for me because I've only played it once on PC using mouse and keyboard.
No. I use controller on PC. I know it's horrible.
See, and I use controller too, but for PlayStation. So,
but I do feel like because of the length of time that we'll be playing, it probably makes more sense to do it on PlayStation because it'd be less taxing on the computers.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree, guys. Like I hold no, like that's the thing. If the challenge was 1v1 hacks, just him and me hacking each other all day long, I'd probably win that. But he's the PvE guy in Watch Dogs, so I have no illusions about the fact that I'm going to get destroyed. But it's for charity. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, since this revolves around Watch Dogs 3 getting announced, I do think they'll announce it this year. I think they'll announce it this year. But Watch Dogs 2 got announced, and then it was out a couple months later. Like, they didn't have a huge build-up to it, as I recall. Like, it was announced in 2016 and came out in 2016, if I recall.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. In fact, when they invited us to E3, they didn't tell us why we're being invited to E3, even though it's like, why else would they invite us to E3? It was it doesn't make sense. This has got to be for Watch Dogs 2. And then, of course, when we got the box, that pretty much confirmed it, But it was like, and then it's like E3, and then we got to test the game, and then a few months later, I didn't go because I didn't have a passport, but the four of us were invited to Montreal to further test the online hacking / multi co-op play. And then a few months later, boom, it was out, and we were playing it on Twitch. So it was quick. It was very quick. I wonder if they're taking more time with this because maybe even though Watch Dogs 2 was really well done, maybe they're trying to put out a great game, kind of like they took it seemed like they were taking their time with one of the Assassin's Creeds and did Origins seemed really good for me. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Assassin's Creed. I never really wanted to play it. I played Origins. So maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know.
No idea. Literally no idea.
I know. Sketty's mad at me.
I don't have one either.
No, she kind of gave me a way to get a passport, and I haven't got it yet because I'm lazy. But I will do it. I swear. I promise.
Crazy.
Anyway, I will.
Yeah.
Okay, so you shared your thoughts on Watch Dogs 3, and
some of them. Yeah.
I really love that. I didn't even think of that, and I honestly love that idea. But I kind of had this idea pop up at the time Watch Dogs 2 came out, and I never really told anybody about it. But I thought, because you know how CTO, it gathers all this information about people and decides whether they're, if they're going to be a criminal, or if they're going to do this, or if they're going to do that, or if they're going to be, somebody they want to be insured, or, I mean, they basically get all this information from our daily lives and use that to give them information about who we are. And I thought, what if CTOS got a glitch? And suddenly somebody had a device that used CTOS to learn more about a person than anyone would ever know, actually told the future about people so far in advance, and that they had knowledge that was almost dangerous, like terroristic dangerous, and they didn't know what to do with it because they knew that if it fell into the wrong hands, it could cause huge disaster. But they worked for DedSec, and they wanted to find the right, and so they're trying to find the right thing to do with this. But then suddenly everybody's coming after them, not just the people that are enemies, but the people that they thought were their friends. And so
it's almost like a heist thing, almost.
Well, no, it's more like, okay, so Aiden was on his own. He was the guy that fought crime and did his own thing. And then DedSec is a group of people that were friends. So what if a guy who was in a group of friends, people he thought were trustworthy, and on his side turned against him, so that suddenly he went from becoming an organized hacker to being a vigilante, forced to be a vigilante, and try to fight his way through the system to A, take down CTOS, and B, to survive for his life, kind of like a Mission Impossible type of thing. And again, I don't know what that would involve, because I don't even know beyond that idea. But
I would even argue that like that story idea could fit into my gameplay idea.
Okay. All right.
Because my gameplay idea, for those of you that may have missed it, was Aiden comes back, Marcus comes back, and then a third NPC, a third playable character comes back that maybe is like a green hacker. He's not like really been involved. He's more been behind the scenes. So this could be your protagonist that found this thing. So now you have these three, and you can play through the campaign, 3 different times with each of these characters. You can choose to play missions as different characters each time to kind of get a feel for it or whatever. I think that would work perfectly. Like those two ideas, to me, would blend together perfectly, because you could get to hear that, you could feel that story from those 3 different perspectives. And I'm not saying hire us, Ubisoft, but hire us if you're not too far along. I mean,
and then
Watchdogs 4.
Then you could incorporate. See, it would have a brand new character. I feel that a new character would have to come into play. But I think it would be really cool to bring in, Marcus or even Wrench as somebody that's trying to help Dead Set catch this guy, and then or Jordy is maybe hired to chase this guy down because he's a hitman. So it'd be kind of cool to integrate some of the past characters that we know and love, and even if it's just a cameo for a few missions, but incorporate them into the game, but still have it about a whole new character, and maybe,
and then plot twist T-Bone's the villain. Wait, no. Well,
no. I think I love T-Bone. I think T-Bone, again, one of my favorite characters, but maybe we should let him take a little rest, for a Watchdogs, or maybe be just somebody that provides intel to somebody that it's not a part of the story. But I would love to see a Watchdogs that is completely centered around T-Bone, where you're T-Bone, but that would be a futuristic thing. I do
honestly, I feel like if you're going to do a whole game about T-Bone for Watchdogs, it should be a prequel.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, and who's to say we couldn't do a prequel? I mean, they did it for Assassin's Creed.
Yep. I mean, there's definitely stuff that you could do with it.
How CTOS began, that would be a great idea. For
spoiler alert: game. If the next Watchdogs game is that, I'm actually going to be disappointed. I want another game that continues before we get that.
Right,
but
I agree. I think, yeah, I agree.
But
I think they will, though, because they did that with Assassin's Creed, and it seems, they're. I don't think Watchdogs is ever going to be as popular as Assassin's Creed, so I don't think Ubisoft will ever put as much into it as Assassin's Creed. But I think they're going to keep going with it. They'd be stupid not to.
Yeah.
So
it sells. Maybe not as much as the other games do, but it does sell. And since
it's such a great idea. I mean, who else has had this idea? I mean, fans of video games can say what they want about the Watchdog series, whether good or bad. They came up with an idea for a video game that nobody else. And people always say, well, how does the Watchdogs compare with GTA? GTA is the same thing. No, it's not. GTA is about running around stealing things and killing people. Watchdogs is about hacking. It's about something that is very prominent in our day and age. The technology is very huge in our day and age. I mean, we're controlled by technology, and the idea that the government could run our lives or control us based off of this technology is a scary thing to some people, and to make a video game that taps on these issues is kind of interesting.
Absolutely. But to call Watchdogs a GTA clone would be the same disservice as calling like Destiny an open world Halo. It's because it's not.
I agree.
There's certainly comparisons to be made, but I wouldn't want to downplay it at all.
I agree.
I do feel 100%. Like it takes the best things of GTA about like how the gameplay is done, but has a different take on it, has different player interactions, totally different story style, and I like that. And the further along we go in the series, the more niche it becomes, and that's a good thing. I hope that the third game, should it happen, because for all of our whimsy, they may not even be making it, or maybe they canceled it. We don't know. I doubt that, but it's possible. I do feel like the biggest investment they need to make, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, it needs to be something that they can sustain, and that inspires people. It needs to be an end game, a true end game. I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe it will be something in the form of like a raid type thing, where you have a bunch of people come together and go after an objective, and you have to work together to hack. Like, you cannot do it by yourself. You're almost passing the baton. Where like you need to get in this spot, and then I'll hack my way to this spot, and then you'll help extend my signal to this, and then you got to leapfrog over here, We have to do this at a certain time. We have to synchronize certain things. That would be cool to where like maybe the multiplayer would be, instead of just being co-op 2-player, could be like up to 4. And you have to have at least 3 to do it or something. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like there could be one more step up. And maybe you could have 2 teams of 3 speed racing the same objective. So 2 instances, the same building, but like they're in this server, we're in this server. And then whoever makes it first. I don't know. Like there's the world as it exists now in Watch Dogs has so many possibilities. But they need to be able to, they need to build on it in the sense that every time a season rolls around, there has to be some other cool thing to do that isn't just the exact same activities over and over again for a score. That stopped being fun when Pong got color. It's like, whatever.
They could definitely take a lesson from games like Fortnite and Overwatch, where, I mean, there's not much to those games, but they still remain to be one of the most popular games that you see on Twitch. That's, I mean, wherever you go, somebody's either playing Overwatch or Fortnite, because the competition keeps people enthralled. The only thing I fear, though, then, is that it would become something for trying. And again, there's nothing wrong with people that are so talented with games that they can show off their skill. But then when it makes it hard to play for the people that aren't good with skills, it's gotta be. I don't know.
Says the guy who's going to trounce me in a speed run of the campaign.
Well, but we would be working together as a goal to raise money for charity. My purpose for this is not to show you how much better of a watchdog. That was actually when I came up with this idea.
I know that.
I know that. Let's see it. Let's But
the thing is, just because you're not showing off doesn't mean you're not good. It's okay to have skill. Like it is a completely valid space to inhabit. Being good at something, it's okay to acknowledge that you are good at something, and that doesn't make you an arrogant prick.
It would just suck for a person, in my opinion, of not as much skill to play in the same match against somebody.
Well, that's why the technology really exists to matchmake based off. It's called skill-based matchmaking. It's a thing in almost every competitive game.
Right.
Watch Dogs has it, and it's based on the season. So, basically, when you first start the season, everyone's on a... Thanks for the follow there, Felipe, with all the extra stuff that I can't pronounce. Appreciate that. And also, Nikki, thanks for the host. I appreciate you, and I see you. At the beginning of the season, everyone's on a level playing field, and as you progress, you only get matched against people in the same class as you in terms of your rank, for the most part. At least that's what I've noticed, because the further along you get, the harder it gets. Which having the season reset makes it so that you're not always going up against the same people, which is something that some other skill-based matchmaking games suffer from. I think that's smart. I think they need to keep that. If anything, I think that just the types of activities need to widen. Whether it's PvE, PvP, PvE, VP, whatever the case may be. That wasn't meant to rhyme, but it totally did. PvE, PvP, VVP, whatever the case may be. I think that the more variety they can inject into the end game, the better off they're going to be. That's my thought process.
I think you share the same concern that a lot of Watch Dogs fans had with Watch Dogs 2. Was they got rid of all the games that they loved from Watch Dogs 1. I didn't really care about them, so I was perfectly fine with them not being in Watch Dogs 2, because I just wanted to play the game, and that was all I wanted. The hacking by then, like I said, I was kind of done with hacking, and I enjoyed it to some point, but then it was like, I'm ready to move on. I think that hacking needs to continue being a thing in the game. I think they need to come up with another twist to make it interesting again, or whatever it is they do. Because I mean, I don't know how you can improve on it, because Watch Dogs 1 and 2, even though they're different styles of hacking, is still something that is just so immensely mind-blowing as far as an online activity. I don't know how they could make it better, but I'm sure somehow they'll find a way. But they need to keep it. They need to keep it a thing.
They could make it a separate skill tree.
Right. But then, like you say, add more online content for co-op, and then maybe bring back more of those games that people can just sink their teeth into, where they feel, that the game has still got, replay value for them.
Well, like one thing you could do to like make the PvP more interesting is have a separate skill tree that instead of unlocking everything and having everything available, it's certain perk sets that are, let's say there's 10 available and you can only choose 2 or 3 at a time. So you're almost like doing an RPG like build. So maybe one of the perks is if you are being hacked, the person who's hacking you has to stay within 10 meters of you or something the entire time in order to get it done. For at least 30% of the hack. Something like that. Or if you are being hacked, you have the ability to, shut down the hack for X amount of time, and you have a 15% higher probability, or maybe like it extends your range of finding them by 15% for 10 seconds, and you can do that once per match if you enable that perk, or something like that.
Right.
Troy saying, I'd love to see a return of gang hideout missions. That was really cool. Especially both single player as well as PvP competing to see who can subdue the target first. That's kind of what we were talking about before in a way, where it'd be like capture the flag, but it's kill the dude, or whatever. You could do that. So then you'd have 2 different game types right there. Digital trips were a lot of fun in Watchdogs 1. I like the spider missions a lot. But after you play them enough times, like there's only so many ways you can do those. I want to go back to something Sketty said earlier because we didn't touch on it, and I don't want to feel like we're skirting over it. Sketty says, I thought it would be cool if you could recruit NPCs, send them on missions, and it was RNG if they succeeded or not, or you could help the NPC on certain missions, and only certain NPCs could be recruited based on their info. I want to expand on that to where maybe based upon their level of success, it could be it would be like a variation of the reputation system. Like you run the risk of that NPC not being available to you for later missions or something if they fail, or that you can't use them for the next 2 missions or something. But if they succeed, you get if they succeed, you would get like yeah, what am I thinking here? Like experience points or reputation or something. There'd be like some risk reward to it, and so on. I don't know. How's it going, Fates? But I feel like there's so much there that all they need to do is, instead of like creating a whole bunch of new stuff, tack 2 or 3 things on, expand the things that are already in the game, and make it great. Make it just give more ways to do what we're already doing, and give us reasons to do it over and over again.
Right.
I really feel like it's all these things we're talking about. It feels like it's almost there. It's just whether it's investing in the end game or incentivizing the end game or a combination of those things and expanding gameplay. There's some small little thing that they just twist it. They just turn that knob a little bit, that door opens.
Here's something funny. I think Fortnite excelled on this. The reason why I've been playing Fortnite for 1.5 years and long is because there's always something to strive for. It's not like, once you got to the end of the game, you're done. It's like you're constantly getting rewards for playing the game. And then once you get the rewards, you have to level them up to use them in the game. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that in the world of Watchdogs, but because like, for instance, the season thing was a great idea. It was a great, but for me, I didn't care.
Right, because
it was like because they were giving you prizes that I I didn't care if Marcus got a new shirt, because I mean, like some of the things, like the one where you went on this weird little mission and then you got this crazy ugly hobo outfit that you could walk up and make NPCs, you know, just, I mean, that was freaky and that was cool, and that made you want to go for it, because that was something out of the ordinary.
Right.
And some of the like the ugly Christmas sweater, if you did certain things for a certain season, I thought that was a great idea. But for me, it wasn't something that made me, like, I didn't care enough to try to go for it. Some people did, and it worked. But like, I don't know what it is for Fortnite, but it's like, I just have this feeling like I really need to play to get this and this done so that I can get this.
Right. And this Destiny does the same thing for me, where you're getting gear that's useful in game. And I have a practical reason why I don't want the cosmetic stuff in Watchdogs. The thing is, when you hack or whatever in Watchdogs 2, whatever you're wearing, even though your face changes and stuff, you're still wearing the same clothes. So if I am wearing something that is a known reward for season end activities, and none of the NPCs can wear it, I stick out like a sore fucking thumb when I'm hacking. I have no reason to wear the shit. None. Because it's like saying, hey, I'm a master hacker. Hey, I'm a master hacker. Hey, I'm a master hacker. Like, no, man, I don't want that. Just paint a big sign on me that says, hey, hi. Like, you can't. It doesn't work for me.
I think that's my downfall, because I love the Twitch hoodie so much, because I love Twitch. I'm not gonna lie.
I get it, dude.
I never put Marcus in anything but if you're hacking and you're like, gee, I wonder who's hacking me. Could it be that guy in the Twitch hoodie over there?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Right.
It's kind of like on Watchdogs. Who could be hacking me? Is it that guy on the motorcycle right there? Because nobody else rides a motorcycle in Watchdogs, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
I get it. And maybe there could be a thing where maybe there'll be some kind of progression system with the weapons, rather than having like 20 different shotguns, maybe have 4, but then you have to work towards earning the perks on certain shotguns. Like this one, if you max it out, like you get Siege. Explosive rounds. Right. You know,
different skins or different, you know, things to wear to have on your weapon, or maybe different strengths of the weapon, because like Watchdogs had the destroyer. I mean that thing was OP. You'd shoot once and a car is down. So, you know, maybe you get a destroyer gun, but it doesn't have those perks. But if you do this, and you play Watchdogs whatever for a longevity time, eventually you can have that destroyer gun at that OP level, but you have to put time into the game to get there.
Yeah, I feel like perhaps a weapon upgrade system of some kind would work. And like maybe, for example, maybe they're not going to go this deep with it, but like it's a weapon mod system where every season you have a weapon mod or perk available for any given type of, like, let's say there's shotguns, handguns, sniper rifles, and grenade launchers. We'll just say that, and machine guns or whatever. And then every season there's one perk available that you can get, a mod. And if you do what you need to do throughout the season, you can get one or all of them. And then you can apply it to any given shotgun or sniper that you have, but you can only apply it once. And then in later seasons, so over the course of the first 4 seasons, all the perks in the game are available. But then they randomize which ones each season after that. And so then as you gain more and more weapons, you need more and more of those mods. That alone, you know, so I can have the same perks on all these different weapons that now have different range. They have different stabilities. They have different, and it's not super deep, but it would be something that would give me a way to build a play style and build. It would give me reasons to do, and also have the cosmetic rewards that they already have, and you know, so it's not a huge change, but it's enough of a change that it would give me a reason to come back. I don't know if they'll do that.
Sketty raised another great idea too, where that bounces off of your idea for the game. If you unlock, the chance to play different characters,
sure.
and maybe like you said, you have the 3 different ways you can start, but then maybe there's other characters that you meet that you can play as them or do side missions as them, but you have to get to a certain level of the game before you can unlock them. And so maybe that's an idea. I mean,
I like that.
And these are all great ideas to draw people, because then, like we've discussed, it's more than just get through the game and get done and be done, because I think that's the trap that a lot of these story-based games have on Twitch. Because if you look at the majority of the successful Twitch streamers, they're playing multiplayer games. They're playing games that you're basically showcasing how good of a game player you are. And the people that play story-based games, those games fall into the wayside.
Yeah.
You're always going to see Fortnite BR and Overwatch and League of Legends and, those type of games at the top of but, Last of Us, one of the greatest games in the world ever. And if you search Last of Us, there's maybe a few hundred people, with viewers on Twitch at any given time. So, any game like Watchdogs or Assassin's Creed is going to fall into that trap just because, it's fun to watch a story-based game or watch somebody play it, but it doesn't, I don't know if it showcases a skill or something, and it just doesn't draw the viewer. I guess I don't know what the typical viewer of Twitch is looking for. I know me as a viewer, I would rather sit in a stream. Like, I'm more apt to host you if you're playing Watchdogs than if you're playing Destiny, because in Destiny you're doing the grind. And I'm just like, I could.
Right.
Now, if you're playing Destiny, the story, the actual story, but of course, Destiny's story is so quick. I trust me, I've watched my son play it, so I know what I'm talking about. So I get it. You don't want to play the campaign 20 million times over and over again. There's no point. Where you excel in the game is grinding those raids or whatever to, boost your power level. And people who want to get good at Destiny or know how to defeat a certain boss or whatever are going to watch you for that reason. Whereas in me, I'll be like, I'd rather watch so-and-so play The Last of Us because I love this story. And I've seen it a million times, but I'll watch it a million times in one because I love the story,
And then for me, but the thing is, when I'm watching a streamer, I am looking for one thing and one thing only. I'm looking for interaction, because I want to be able to have that experience with the chat and the experience with the streamer. But that's me. Like, I like going for that. So, like, if I go somewhere and they're playing this game, they're doing a great job. If I'm not invested in the game, which most of the time, spoilers, I'm not. I don't give a shit. I don't care what game you're playing. Like, I'm there for you and your community, and if I can feel welcome and we can have fun and I can talk, because I can watch a Let's Play anywhere, anytime, any day. But if I'm there in real time, I have to have a reason to be entertained by the person and the people in the stream. So, like, there are some people, whether it's Destiny or Rainbow Six Siege or Fortnite or whatever, maybe it's a repetitive gameplay of whatever type of whatever game, and it doesn't matter. If everyone's engaged, like, I just throw a blinder on whatever game they're playing and I do that. But that's what I look for. Seldom do I go into a game for the story. Seldom for the stream. But once in a while, I'll come across something. If it's something I've played, and if it's something I've played that I love, and they're playing it for the first time, that'll get my attention. But that happens so seldom in the realms that I go on Twitch. I don't go searching for new people. Sorry, I tend to grow the people that I watch based off of the communities that I'm involved with. So if I go to a community and there's a bunch of people that are really cool that say, hey, you should go follow this person, I go follow that person and see what they're into, and then sometimes I'll watch them, and then they recommend somebody, and then they tell two friends, and they tell them, and that's how it's always happened for me, where it just kind of grows naturally that way. But there are plenty of people that I love them as people, but their content, I'm like, I'm not always going to show up. everyone's different. And that's the beauty of this platform.
Right.
Hey, Panda, how's it going? I see you. She said, "Mom." I love it. But I feel like to kind of steer this back for a moment before I think we'll wrap up the official Watchdog portion of the conversation. Because I think we'll keep going, but I want to have a nice little, bow on the Watchdogs conversation so I can stop recording. Spoilers. Because I don't want it to be too long. I think that Watchdogs has a place in all of those communities and all of those directories where you could have people playing the story a couple different... the more ways you can play the story, the better. The more variants you have in PvP, the better. The more variants you have in like a PvE co-op activity where things are almost designed to be played and the things cross over and mix, and you're going to have different types of Watchdog streamers. I think that would be cool. And it would serve both things. It would serve the longevity and replayability for the player, and it would serve the streaming community and content creation community equally. And I do think they're close with that. But would you agree that the biggest thing Watch Dogs 3 needs to have is some degree of built-in replayability, that season over season is something that compels you to play?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Any last thoughts about where we want the Watch Dogs to go? Any last thoughts at all?
All I gotta say, and I kind of touched on this earlier in the stream, is it, like I said, Ubisoft, if you hear us out there, Watch Dogs may never be as popular as Assassin's Creed. There's a huge fan base that does love the game, so keep giving us Watch Dogs games. We want to play them. We want to see where this universe will go. It's fun. It's intriguing. It was a great idea way back when, and with technology expanding and becoming crazier every day, you can make the games crazier and every day. And whether two or people agree or disagree with how you do things, ultimately the game's gonna rock because it's a Ubisoft game and because it's Watch Dogs. And so I'm excited. I will always be a fan of Watch Dogs. I don't think they could ever go wrong in my book, and I'm excited and I can't wait for whatever comes down the pipe.
Same, because it'll give us more things to talk about, my friend. I think we'll have you back sometime soon. Where, for those watching after the fact, where can they find AeroGarfield29? Where can they find you?
Well, I guess somebody already posted my Twitter right there. So
yeah, but people watching on YouTube won't be able to see those links, sir.
Okay. On Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/AeroGarfield, Arrow like Aerosmith, Garfield like the cat, 29. Twitter, AeroGarfield_29, but Twitter's just a way for me to talk about all the other cool people that I know, like right there, that guy right there. Anyway.
Oh, I went the wrong way. Went the wrong way. You're on my right.
You were looking at somebody else.
I'm sorry, baby.
YouTube is AeroGarfield TWO number 9, and I don't post a lot on YouTube anymore. Hopefully someday I'll have some really cool stuff to put on there, but right now I lack video editing software. So, but there's a lot of awesome, and I mean awesome, Watch Dogs glitches on there. Go check them out. Ignore my laughter because it's
right on.
And yeah.
Cool. Well, man, thanks for being here for the Watch Dogs. I guess we call it a retrospective and wish list. So thanks, everybody. So if you're watching later, this has been a great discussion, and hopefully we'll have more of them as hopefully Watch Dogs 3 gets announced. But in the meantime, I'm Grindhead Jim. That's AeroGarfield29. Appreciate you guys.